All right. Good morning, everybody. Today we are welcoming Randall, or not Randall, Mr. Randall, Kenneth Randall from North Carolina to the 409 radio family. Very rarely do we get somebody to call and want, you know, a whole setup, a whole nice, what some guys call a starter setup. I'd be happy running this the way it is. Um, he is getting, we do very few of these. There's only, I think this is the second one. Full blown. This is a full blown Super Duty 2. You'll notice the dual chromies for the 10 turns on this particular unit. It has dual 10 turn clarifiers. Um, one is transmit only. One is transmit only. That's down here. One is receive only. That's up here. I'll show you guys how that works in a minute. He also has the extra channels right over here on these bat switches. A nice echo board. Um, all the lights have been taken care of, restored. What needed to be changed has been changed. Meters have been restored. This radio is as perfect of a 2000 as you're going to get your hands on. And then on top of it, this is what makes the Super Duty 2 a Super Duty 2. This is our single direct injected 2290 module that we make right here in the shop. And I made this guy a real purty one, and even took pictures of it. This one's just purty. And it rocks. Okay, so there's the radio. And, he will be getting two speakers. One is set up as the 30 amp power supply, which anybody who knows how we do things around here, when we take a 2000, do this conversion on this 12 volt plug on the back, that what they put in the 70s for all you guys that had this on the front seat of your Pinto. Um, we bypassed that from the radio. So the radio no longer utilizes that plug. At that point, we use it as a port to power the Super Duty module. Now, we'll just go over the radio now. So we're going to start off this radio. Whenever we do a 10-turn clarifier conversion, on every, you notice this only says tone. Well, he still has tone. But we take that control. We just move it over and make this a double. And then this one on the bottom ends up becoming your AM carrier control, which is really nice because we're not drilling any extra holes for it. And it's just the right value to make this radio do pretty much whatever you want to do. And I mean whatever you want to do on AM. So we're going to start here, some basic radio power, okay? Let's see how it's 5,000. We're going to get to that 5,000 watt scale, believe that, right here in a minute. But let's just start off. This radio, dead keys. Right now I got it set to, I just caught my headset. Right now we got a respectable, I don't know, eighth of a watt dead key. But now I'm going to lock the mic on. And as I turn this up and down, you see right here, if you watch the panel meter, correspondingly, if we go to the watt meter, you can turn this AM carrier up and down. Now we can just sing, this one is set to key no more than 3 because of the board. But you can take this thing down and just become a swinging animal. So let's just take it down. It's a straight radio right now. The board's not on. There's a tenth of a watt dead key. I'm going to turn my gain up. About 11 watts from a tenth of a watt dead key. Okay, and it does stay clean. So we're going to turn our bar off now. At that point, 3 of the switches have been converted on this unit. These are the channels, NBA and L. They've been wired on all the time because I think they just give you those so you can change them, put stuff on them like we do. That does his channels, like I said. But now this guy has a whole new meaning on CBPA switch. CB still means just what we're doing right now. Barefoot power, whatever you got from the factory, CB. 2 to a tenth to a 3 watt dead key swinging about 11 or 12 of PEP. So, but now, we're turning Super Duty 2 board on. Super Duty 2 board on. PA is now power amplifier. Doesn't mean public address anymore. Now that's power amplifier. So now he turns that on. And just for fun, I'm going to leave it on the 10 watt dead key just to make it do that. Or a 10 watt scale. So now, with the board on, we're on the 100 watt scale. A little less than a 10 watt dead key. So I'm going to lock the bar and I'm going to bring this thing up. Well, first, let's show it the swing capability. Now, this is the board on. You're reading the 100 watt scale, which is the second one right there. I'm going to take this dude all the way down to a watt. 1 watt dead key with the board on. We're on the 100 watt scale. Uh, 1 watt dead key swinging well over 100 PEP. That's pretty slick. So now, that's the radio in and of itself. Power capability, channels, echo board. Now, this board, you can use this for a few functions. You know, when I designed this conversion, I just was trying to keep these old radios, you know, alive, number one, because we're throttling the radio back because of the board. And B, I mean, if your buddy's got a Galaxy and you're talking on 2000, well, your audio is probably better than his. But when you guys look at the watt meter, you're going to get his feelings hurt because, you know, 2000 is not, you know, there's not a lot of testosterone in the case. There's too many people looking up your skirt when they made this radio. So it was, you know, it's a freaking CB. You know, set up as a CB. So now, no more. Now this will walk with a Galaxy or a freaking RCI. And now, if you want to run it like this, I've ran these radios with just this board in it. Talk locally, talk skip, and I'm talking skip all over this block we're sitting on. And I'm gonna tell you something. The board does well in and of itself. Just having a 100 watt PEP 2000, that having the 100 watts that doesn't compromise your audio is a trick. Okay, and anybody's got one of these will tell you. You go look at the reviews on YouTube and whatnot. They'll tell you. You know, the audio on these things, when this shop is done with them, without getting into some compression or, you know, hi-fi shit, you ain't gonna do no better. So there it is. So that, now this radio could be ran just like that, but I like this guy. He wasn't happy with that, so we got him. We're gonna call this page Beauty and the Beast, because that's definitely a beautiful 2000. If you don't think it's a pretty 2000, then I don't know, you're goofy. It's a freaking pretty radio. We left the lid off so that I could show you the board we build, where it goes. And keep in mind, that's the frequency display module that it's sitting on. Okay? We've done I don't know how many of these, and I got guys that are drag racing, I got guys that are talking mellow, I got guys that are doing sideband. This board never gets so hot. This board runs so cool. Let me say it this way. The board runs so cool that the counter doesn't even know it's there. That counter is never, you know, drift, flicker, fail. And that's something else, though. When we do these conversions, these counter modules get rebuilt. You notice this thing ain't jumped off 5.0. Anybody's got a 2000 watches, let's go 5150. 5150, 4951. Yeah, that ain't moving. So now, on that subject, let's talk about what these clarifiers do. Right now, we're in receive, right? So we've got a 10-turn clarifier that locks. Let's unlock it. So I'm going to dial my receive. Let's dial it down for fun. Okay. Wherever. Okay, we're just going to go for it. We're off. We're definitely off. So now we're receiving, but when you transmit 50, it goes back to 50. Truly independent. But now, let's get even crazier than that. Now let's go to the transmit clarifier. Now first, we're at 271832. This is just an example. I'll explain why this function is set up the way it is in just a second. But now, we're receiving on 271832. When you key the mic, it's going back to center slot. So now I'm going to grab my independent transmit clarifier, just for fun. We're going to go the other way. Okay. Now, if you're on sideband, each one of these digits is a mile. Okay, you know that. And that's what these really are for. So now, we're transmitting on 1855. And if you remember, we were on 1832 when we transmitted, when we received. Okay. Well, why would you want to do that? Okay. This is why, guys. When you're running sideband, first of all, let's just show you how easy it is. Let's just take it all back to 50. Now, you've got to turn this 10 times to get the same swipe of one time out of a normal clarifier, okay? So it makes it a lot easier to control. That thing's not flying past. Oh shit! I passed 50. No, stop. Here, bam, 50. Now we've dialed our receive back, but remember we also dialed our transmit off. So we key the mic. We're still on 1855. This is still unlocked. We go to the transmit clarifier. Bring it back. Nice. 4, 3, 2. Now, we took it off really far, so it seems like an hour of turning a knob to take it back. You're never going to take them out that far. But this is the reasoning for this. We'll tell you in a second. Get back to 50. And there. Our transmit's back on 50. Ooh, I spun that. Okay. And receives back on 50. So now we're back on total center slot alignment with our clarifiers locked. Okay. Now the reason you want to do that, anybody who's ever had a open clarifier and talked to a guy that doesn't have an open clarifier, or even worse, you both got an open clarifier where they're both tracking at the same time. You go there, QSK, guy hears you, tunes you in. Go ahead, QSK. Well, now he's tuned you in. You heard him. That's why you QSK'd. Now you retune him. And this dance starts where 3, 4 times you got to go back and forth with each other before you can sit there and start talking. I mean, actually start talking. Everybody does it out of habit and as part of your procedure. You just talk and you dial each other in. But you'll notice it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 keys before you can get off the damn clarifier and start your QSO. Now, with this, you hear the guy's QSK. That's fine. You go over here and, like when the radio was new, it's only going to slide the receive. But here's the thing. The transmit is 100 times more stable with this 10-turn counter put on it. So on sideband, when the 2000's normally going 5-1, 5-0, 4-9, on sideband, that's driving people nuts. After you do this conversion, it does not waver, it does not move. It's there, it's stuck. Okay? So now you you hear somebody talking. You dial them in. Bam, 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 bam. Now you've dialed into them and you haven't moved your transmit clarifier. Now what's going to happen is, depending on how far he's off, he's going to answer your QSK, and you're going to be able to hear him just fine. And then you're going to, when you respond to him, he's going to dial you in. Now, if his clarifier's open, he's going to be a little bit off. But you don't grab your transmit clarifier again. You don't grab that one. It stays where it's at. He's now tuned to you. He's not going to move again. Worst case scenario is you're going to have to go back to your receive, and because he's brought his radio that was tuned up by Bubba Bo Johnson in God knows where, and you're going to have to go back to him. But here's the thing: no matter where they are, you're going to be able to track them and tell them exactly what they're doing and go to them without sitting there and having to half listen to somebody, high on the spectrum or low on the spectrum when you're on sideband. After you learn how to run these clarifiers, after you get the hang of it, sideband on this radio is, I don't care what anybody says, it's unsurpassed. We even go through the trouble of relocking these clarifiers so that we can make these work like this. It's nobody else does it this way, and at least not that I've seen it. If they do, let me see it. I want to see if it works as good as mine, because I'm pretty sure it don't. So now that's the radio, and that's what the dual chromies are about. But his counter in this, and like I started to say at the beginning of this, every Super Duty 2 conversion, this counter gets rebuilt and has a 2-year warranty. Okay, it doesn't get fixed; it gets completely rebuilt. All the electrolytic caps, all the 945 transistors, the SCR that lets the light stay dim when you shut it off, the 2 regulators, even the Zener diode is upgraded in wattage, so you get a better counter when you're done. So now we're going to dial this thing back to with his board on, power amps on. Let's get off of 19. I'm pissed my buddies off. 19 here, we're going to go here. And we're going to dial this guy because we've been playing with controls on the 100 watt scale back down 10 watts. There's a 10 watt dead key. Swaying, I know it's swaying 110, 115 watts. So there's that. Now, then we get to the beast. That's beauty. Here's the beast. This is a JB. It's got a different model number actually on it somewhere. It's a JB 2000. Okay. Anybody that knows Wawasi products, old Black Cat stuff, this one's actually still got some pretty cool emblems on it. It is a pair. Let's just look down at the top because they're so pretty. These freaking tubes should have lampshades on them. They're so big. Pair of 3-500Zs. These are matched Emax, 80% plus tubes. This amplifier is extremely healthy. Some of these have a high-low switch, some don't. The way this setup is done, this switch on this amp really makes no never mind. I would, if it were me, I leave it on high. Because if you're going to grab this control and turn this thing on, you ain't playing. So anyway, so let's do that. We now have our 10-watt dead key swinging, whatever. We're going to go to the 1,000-watt scale. From the 100 to the 1,000. And now, you'll notice there's no standby switch on this amp. But see that big relay knob? That's your standby switch. And it's done, it's made that way, I'm guessing, because, you know, for different dead keys, you should just turn it up until you grab your dead key. Because, guys, you got to hit this amp. Here, let's get to what this amp does. A pair of 3-500Zs wants 75 watts RMS, 180 at peak, if you can pull it off, to get that to 2,200 watts, okay? Now, we're not going to hit it with that, okay? We're only going to hit it with this Super Duty board. We're going to give it a 10-watt dead key and a little over 100 watts at peak, probably about 45 watts RMS. And now this is what he's going to do. When he's ready to just hit this thing, he's just going to turn this all the way to the left, okay? Radio's all set. This has been on and warming up, but he had to turn down so the amp would never key. Well, now the amp's going to key. We're going to turn this on. We're on a 1,000-watt scale. That's a 200-watt dead key, which is a little more than I want to see right now. 150 watts. So now we're going to grab our dial-a-watt right on the radio, and I'm going to bring this thing down to a 100-watt carrier. Now, it's smacking the 1,000-watt. Okay, no problem. Let's go to the 5 kilowatt scale. And the other cool thing about this amp is I only got two hands. I got a camera in one hand and an amplifier and a radio and a mic going on here. This amplifier and a lot of these do have what's called an L network. Pi network is a load and a tune. What a lot of guys are used to seeing, a load and a tune. Well, you don't see tune on this when you see relay. That's your standby control. This one, you're just doing the load. It's an L network. It's a single control. Now, I've already peaked it, and I think it held pretty good last time. So let's see on a 5,000 watt scale. Audio. That's 1,250 watts with a little single pill driving it. That's not really all that special. I mean, but it's reliable. We didn't build this for drag racing. We didn't build this for driving other amps. But it will, in this situation, work just fine as long as this amplifier remains healthy and doesn't spike back into the radio for some reason. And it does happen with Z-tubes, guys. It happens. Don't believe it, don't. So now, at the end of the day, he's got, if he really wants to hit it with just this, and it's my understanding, he can get that 200 watts out of another piece. Now, we'll get to that point in a minute now. But here, straight radio, into the amp, into the watt meter, and out to the antenna. 100. Let me turn that. I turned my mic down. Sorry, guys, I bumped my mic control. It hovers right. It's hovering between 1,000 and 1,250. You see it buzzing top scale between 1,000 and 1,500 watts. Okay. These tubes now, we've been sitting here keying it and whatnot. You don't see any dark red down in them holes. There's no cherrying going on whatsoever. I've talked on this amp and verified it, made sure this guy was getting a nice piece because I procured this through another source of mine here in town who basically wanted to see it go to a good home. So, now, we got the radio, we got that. Now, the 200 watt drive part. Let's go back to the radio. If he wants to hit this with an in-between driver, okay, another low drive driver, low input drive box, something that's not a high drive, that does 200 watts, which is his situation. He has a low drive 200 watt PEP something, okay? I forget what it is, and it's hard for me to remember everybody's details. But what he can do at that point is he's not stuck with only this to drive this amp. Now he can shut this off. This becomes a regular old base station then again. Now he can put his little 200 watt PEP driver in the middle of what's going on and go ahead and get the full 2000 out of this box if he wants to. However, when you run Z tubes at their maximum for a long time, let's say overtime, if you run them hard at 2 kilowatts or you let them loaf at 12, 1500, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be buying tubes as fast as if you just drive with the radio. If this were my setup, it would be just like this, done just like this. If I wanted to go bigger, I would do something bigger on that end. But, which I think is what we're going to do. Now, say he gets a big box. We build a 5250B box here, okay? Like an old planetary. It's slow drive. He couldn't drive it with that board, but he can shut this off and go ahead and dump this 2000 into it like he'd do a Pride or a Mako or whatever that takes low drive and get that full big ass goodie out of it. There's nothing, you're not limited, you're not chained down to any sort of certain kind of toys with this. You can take this base station the way we set it up and use it on just about anything as long as you are respecting the input and output limits of whatever it is that you're attaching to this very freaking awesome device that I think we've been building this unit for over a year, and not this particular one, these units. This one's got some time in it though, but and I'm shipping them all over the place, and nobody has a complaint. Nobody. Other technicians are throwing them on the bench and seeing 45 watts of PEP out of a Cobra 2000 on AM from a 10 watt dead key or a 5 watt dead key or a 1 watt dead key, and then they put it on a monitor radio and it's crystal clear, and they're like, okay, now it's something. There was a time when I would have looked in here and said, what the frick did somebody do to this radio? But we're in a different age. There were days when we would pray for 100 watts. Guys like me and Jeff, my buddy, guys all over the place. We're kicking out 100 watts like it's making a batch of biscuits. So today things are getting bigger. That's why we've gone. This rack that you see here is actually going to be an amplifier when it's done. This is going to be my personal one, and I think I'm going to have to make it 220 because I am going to have to make it 220 because I think I'm going to go ahead and stab 10 250B tubes in it. It's going to be a little bit ugly. I'm figuring about probably 2200 RMS and an easy 4 kilowatts of swing. But it's going to be in this roller cart. It's going to be sheeted. Power supply is going to be in the bottom. I just got that's one of my new toys, my SB220. It's got to be restored. Every now and then I got to keep one. That one I'm keeping. That's going to be a nice one. Guys that walk in, don't look at it. If you remember some of the earlier videos, there's the Tram D300 we built for Marshall James in Georgia. It's here for a little bit of love and attention. This was a quick build, and admittedly, I should have done a couple things different. But you know what? We're going to do it different for them, and it's not costing them a dime. Now, all that being set aside, Kenneth, welcome to the family, 419 Family Radios. Dude, you've got a very special station here. And when you get ready to get bigger, we've had that conversation. But now, real quick, I just want to tell you guys something about something that we have coming up. If you look at this right here, if you've never seen one skinned like this is a Cobra 2000. This was donated by one of my customers in Texas, in lieu of an idea that Jeff and I were already contemplating. So what we're going to do is we're going to have I don't know if you call it a raffle, an auction, whatever, with all proceeds going to St. Jude. And what's going to happen is this radio that you see here, I want you to take a good look at it now, because at the end of the day, it's going to look like that over there. And it's going to be pretty much that over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the mojo on this big 2000 here, and it's going to have a single speaker and a powered hand mic, Super Duty 2 2000 with channels. Okay? It'll look just like this when it's done. And then in addition to that, another customer was kind enough to help us out and give us this nice 148. So we are also going to build a board. We're going to build one of these boards for that 2000. We're going to build one of those boards for this 148. So it's going to be this 148 with a hand mic, 100 watts, and an external speaker because you lose the speaker when you do this. So it's going to be this 148 with a Super Duty board, external speaker, and a hand mic. And this Cobra 2000, which right now, you can go ahead and look at it and laugh if you want to. But at the end of the day, it's going to look like this. Then what's going to happen is there's going to be a link on my Facebook page and on our website where you will have the opportunity for $25 a piece. For a $25 donation to St. Jude, you will get entered into the raffle to own both of these. You're going to get both radios, okay? So, guys, when we get ready to start doing this, pony up. This is going to be 2 Super Duty 2s that I'm really going to take some time on and make them nice. And some lucky person is going to have a Super Duty 2 Mobile 148 to match their Super Duty 2 2000 that they got in the house. So keep your eyes open for that. It's coming up. It was a good time for me to show you this because this is how a lot of these radios start. And at the end of the day, my personal phone is ringing and they're going to have to wait. And at the end of the day, they look like this. So watch for the St. Jude raffle coming up. All proceeds, we're paying for all the extras on the radio. We've been lovingly donated the radios by a couple of our good customers. So this is 409 Radios in partnership with some of my customers to do this for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So when that comes up, I expect you guys to get in your pocket. I know times are tight right now, but you know what? Those kids are freaking sick, and they ain't got a pocket to put their hand into. So, you know what? When this comes up, do the right thing. This is going to be some really nice equipment, okay? This is probably going to be $1,500 worth of shit when I'm done. And it's all going to have my name on it. That in and of itself is worth the price of that ticket. I don't care what anybody says. So watch for the St. Jude raffle. It's going to be coming up this year. Probably in the next 6 months, that's going to be done. In the meantime, Kenneth, the watt meters you ain't getting, Ken. You said you got some. And he is getting a D104 lollipop. I talked to him on the phone this morning, and the one thing that I did not do is we're putting a new cord. That's the lollipop sitting over there amongst the mess. Put a new cord on that lollipop for him. And something else we did on this one. Oh, a couple other things, quickly. The clock, you'll notice, counts seconds off. That's just a little trick. Well, what's that for? It's for nothing. It's cool. It looks good on the clock. Usually a Cobra 2000 only has that. Well, now this one has that when the radio shut off. Okay? So, we did that. We do that when we do the counter rebuild. And on his, and on as many of them as I can do it on, we lose that damn 5-pin. He's got a 4-pin on here. This is a 4-pin Cobra 2000. Does not receive without the mic. That conversion in this radio is a bad idea. I've seen guys do it. Don't do it. The ones I've seen, if somebody comes up with a better idea that works, show it to me. But I ain't seen it yet. So that's it. Mr. Randall in North Carolina is going to light them up, buddy. 409 is now in another state. Aggravating more women, children, and people who are dumb enough to pick up a radio and try to outdo one of mine. So, good day to all of you. 7-3s, be safe. Kenneth, thanks. Welcome to the family. And we're going to start boxing some stuff up here pretty quick. 7-3s, everybody.